Adams, and welcome to the Asheville View. Today's show, This Is Us, is simply about being yourself. And today we're just going to talk about what's it like to be you, what flaws you have, what are you experiencing in your own body, and how do you get comfortable in your own skin?
Well, let me tell you first off, I am very much myself. I've always been myself. I love myself. I'm horrible at accepting compliments, and I'm also too soft and too nice. When people attack me, I tend to cream up the barrier and give them back a soft response or ignore it. And I think that it's hard to be your true, authentic self in today's society with the amount of bullying that goes on, but also the amount of social media and those pretty models running around and like, I want those abs like that. And they're not even real abs. They don't even exist, you know?
But Kirby, so you said you're always yourself and you are a cutie, like you were like a beach body like coach or whatever. Is that how it makes it easy for you to always be yourself?
No. Team Beachbody was just like, it's a workout company. It's Insanity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Insanity, T25.
So how did you come to be comfortable always being yourself, even in spite of the Instagram
I literally
models?
just stopped caring. And when I stopped giving an F, I lost the most weight. And my skin cleared up. It's when I stopped.
You weren't stressed out.
I wasn't stressed about my weight. I literally just woke up and just stopped caring. I was 188, stopped caring. Now I'm like 160.
Wow. That's interesting.
Eat what I want to when I want to, but I don't stress about it. And I really think that makes a big difference.
Just being comfortable being who you are and being comfortable in your own
Just
skin.
not worrying about it
Just
makes
not
the
worrying about
biggest
it. Right.
difference.
Yeah.
Because you're giving your energy to that weight. Whether you want weight loss or weight gain, you're still giving your energy to that weight.
Yeah.
I like things about myself like being open-minded and fun and being a safe space for some people and saying I'm really nice, but sometimes I worry about being too nice. I have a problem saying no to people. My students take advantage of it. You know, she's loving. She can't really say no. So if you just go and talk to her, she'll give you a pass. She'll let you turn in things that are 2 months late. She's a nice teacher. She's a nice person. She understands. Sometimes, you know, we need people like that. I think it's awesome that they can come to me and feel that I'm that safe space. But at the same time, sometimes I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. And that's, if I had one thing to change about myself, is to sometimes say what I really mean instead of just saying things that make other people feel better.
Yeah.
And saying no if I want to say no.
Yeah. I feel like for me, I'm always accused of being like mean and about my business and like, because I am so direct, but I think I got that way from like trying to fit into that mold of being super nice and never getting what I want.
Right.
So I decided like very early, like, oh, at least I'm gonna say what I want. And I remember being young and thinking, when I turn 30, I'm gonna be old and I'm gonna say whatever I want. And I would be like 11, like, if I was 30, I'd tell you how I really feel. Because I thought when you turn 30, you were like super old and you could just say whatever you want.
Yes.
Like you could just say it. And we live in a society where nice is supposed to be right. And so people are too nice sometimes, you know, and that's a problem.
Yeah, it is.
You know?
It really is. And the same thing about taking compliments. I get so uncomfortable when people give me compliments and I have to be thankful and humble. And not that it's a bad thing, but it's weird. I don't know why we do that. We just get I get so uncomfortable when I get complimented. I don't know why.
I hate compliments too. It's not just you, but Miriam, I'm sure you've seen me in the classroom at, you know, way back in the times when dinosaurs ran around. That you've seen me just like be bulldozed over. I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I have.
Because I'm so kind. I don't have a mean bone in me. What does it mean to really stand up for yourself, it means not letting people bulldoze over you. How do you do that in the nicest, kindest manner? Because that's my thing. I'm not just going to cuss somebody out, because that is the easy way to do it. I've done it.
I've seen him do it
a couple of times. But I don't want to be that person. So what do we do?
I mean, I don't have all the answers, to be honest
Not
with
all
you.
of them.
I feel like with me, sometimes I don't have to curse to be seen as overly aggressive or to be seen as mean. I think that everybody's just trying to find their way, and what we're actually living in is just a judgmental time.
Right.
So what I'm trying to get to in my own life is just remembering that everybody's opinion of me is none of my business. And that the only opinion that really, 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 really matters is me. And the only person that I really have to please is me.
It's you, yeah.
And then just finding time to do check-ins with me and finding time to fall in love and appreciate me. And I really learned that from my husband because he's so self-sufficient. And being an influencer, it's about pleasing other people.
Right.
It's about connecting with other people and resonating with them. And so you want to people please. And so deciding that I'm gonna please me and either you're gonna follow me or you're not has been a huge transition in my own life.
So I think the biggest stressor for being in nursing school is the fact that at the beginning they tell you, you all have gotten good grades so far, but let's talk about nursing school. C equals degree. And that's stressful, and I think it's mildly inappropriate.
I think it's extremely inappropriate. You know, as a former educator, what I think is important is that you understand the skill set. And that, you know, I taught struggling readers growing, you know, when I was teaching. And one of the things I would tell my kids is like, there's no special ed line in Walmart. So when you leave this school, when you leave this institution, you're just gonna be a human being. And you're gonna have to go out into the world and be yourself and love yourself. And you're gonna have to get along in the world. And so my thing is, it's just about loving yourself, learning as much as you can, being a compassionate leader, and just moving forward. And you got this, Kirby. You're gonna be a great nurse.
I hope so.
You will. You will.
I tell my students that too because I teach a foreign language, and so they forget that the goal of this class is to be able to speak a different language. It's not about the grades. It's not about getting that extra credit. It's not about school ranks, but it is to them. So it's always a struggle for me to show them how important it is that the goal for this is to become bilingual. Yeah. It's not about your grades. I've gone so far to just grabbing papers and throwing them out the window. You know, just grabbed everything and was just like, nah, I don't care about any of this.
Yes.
You guys are here to learn something. It is not just about, the grade does not define you. Your ability to speak, you should have fun and learn that this is a skill, like you said. Yeah. It's the skill, it's not the grade.
And Madam Weber, I feel like you don't take it personally.
No, I don't.
When kids don't necessarily care for or understand
I agree.
the language you're teaching, and I think that's super important too. It's a lot of these teachers get really mean, and I've experienced this.
Yeah.
Or offended when someone doesn't care about it, but it's a required course.
But we're here to change that culture a little bit and just
well, I would hope
inspire.
so.
But I think even it goes beyond school. So here's the deal. In every place, whatever you're doing, there's an outcome. And so many people lose sight of the outcome to hit the mark. And in a capitalistic society, I talk about this all the time, everything is measured in numbers. And numbers are a distractor. So for the school, it's what's your grade, right? For the hospital, it's how many beds are full. Not how many people get well.
Right.
How many beds are actually full.
Right.
How many prescriptions did we actually sell?
Right, yep.
It's never about what the real outcome is. And so when we get to a point in our lives where we refocus things on
Which we will.
We will. Because shows like this and people like us, we're going to change the world, you guys.
Absolutely.
When we get to the point where we're ready to talk about outcomes, real outcomes, start talking about like this is what we're here for, and refocusing on the right things, doing the right things by people, doing the right things by the earth, doing the right things by ourselves, refocusing on outcomes, I think the world's going to be a better place.
Absolutely.
But we have to get there first because right now everything's about the numbers.
Yes.
You ever notice that?
Yes. Yes.
Everything is about numbers. What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's all about how many views you've got.
Yeah.
How many likes do you have?
Yep.
How many dollars can you get? And my issue with the money, I was reading this fantastic book, and it's called The Soul of Money. And I think the biggest question that I took from that book is, how much money is enough money? Really? How much money is enough money? We're all congratulating Jay-Z because he's making $1 billion, and I'm sure he's giving to charity, but a lot of it. But what is enough money, and how do we take greed so that we can all be comfortable? I think that's just so important.
Yep.
Teachers make not enough. Like, we all have known that. It's been going on for years.
Yeah.
We don't pay fast food workers enough for the hell they have to put up with.
No.
We don't pay anybody right. We don't do right. And it's just like, you all are leaving with billions of dollars and millions of dollars. And did you know we can all win?
Yeah.
Did you know that?
We can all be
I'm
our
not
best
telling
selves.
you to pay them $1 million an hour. I'm telling you to pay them enough so they can have a house on their own.
Right.
With a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home husband
Right.
who can take care of the baby they may have adopted or had.
And that's what equity over everything is about. Like, right? If you pay people enough money,
They'll be the best.
it'll get better,
You want them to
right?
be,
Like,
yeah.
we have these problems, and people say, well, oh, like in the black community, like they're not doing this, they're not doing this. Pay us enough money and we'll clean our streets.
Exactly.
Pay us enough money, we'll clean our neighborhood.
That would be a really decent job, but it's just, I'm just so confused at like just, and maybe it's my parents. My parents have run a business and they pay everyone so well.
Yeah.
And they take care of their employees, and it's time that
and are they hiring?
it's just time that we take, like, that businesses are held accountable for taking care of their employees.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're lucky here in Asheville with the movement of living wage jobs, and we want to see that everywhere. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so that's why we're bringing things like this to the forefront. And I think when people feel good about themselves and can be comfortable in their own skin when they're paid enough and they're treated well.
Yeah.
And so that's what this is all about. You feel good when you're
Right.
treated good. You know what I mean? And so we'll be right back.
Hi, I am Julie Stevens with RMS Tech Spa, where we take the stress out of tech. And today I would like to share with you 3 Google tips that will help you if you have a Gmail account. So the first one is, most of us sign up for Gmail to get our email, but there's a whole other side of G Suite in Google Drive that is an absolutely fantastic tool, which includes word processing, you've got spreadsheets in there, and presentation tools. Another tool that's inside of that G Suite when you get that Gmail account is Google Voice. And what that does is it gives you a phone number, and you can make that phone number dial into your existing cell phone. And what's really cool about it is it will transcribe your voicemails so you can read them as opposed to listening to them. And you can also turn it off. So if you're on vacation, you can say, I'm not taking any phone calls, send them all to voicemail, which is fantastic. The third thing I'd like to mention relating to the phone as well is, if you lose your cell phone, and you have a Gmail account attached to your phone, all you have to do is go to Google Chrome, type in, I lost my phone, and it will come up with a button for you to sign in. Once you sign in, it's going to locate your phone on a map. And so you can locate it there, and you can also ring it even if the phone's on silent. So that's one of my favorite Google tips. Thanks.
Welcome to Ask Your Doctor, and I'm Dr. Sharon Norling. Today's topic is on transgender and the transition that it takes to accomplish this. Being transgender is when an individual decides to live a life of a different gender identity than the sex that they were born with. This is a huge topic, and it's one that really deserves a lot more information, and it deserves a lot more medical support and social support for these individuals. And there's a process as people go through this. First of all, there's this self-awareness, and it can occur at any age. Even people who are transgender will say, I knew from a very early age that I was not the person that my body was showing me that it was. And then they will seek medical advice, and that could be 6 months, a year. The time frames are different for each individual. And then they might change their appearance. They might dress differently. They might talk differently. And then there's a coming out period. Sometimes this concludes it for an individual. Otherwise, they go on to hormonal replacement therapy or even surgical procedures. But it's a complex issue. More than 1/2 of the LGBTQ community homicide victims in 2013 were women of color. We know that throughout the United States, about 2%, actually less than 2%, will attempt suicide. In the transgender community, it's more like 46%. There's also housing discrimination. There's also only 17 states that actually protect this group from housing discrimination and obtaining other accommodations. So we see more of a homeless population. And 1 out of 4 transgender individuals happen to be living with HIV and AIDS. Now, it's really important for individuals to have kind of a lot of support. This is a group that really needs it. It's a group that has to assess their readiness for change. It needs mental health assessments. And when I say mental health assessments, it's not because these individuals are mentally ill. No, it's because of the choice and the feelings that they have about changing is really affecting them. They're more anxious. They're more depressed. They have difficulty sleeping. They're tired. There's many symptoms that come with that based on their transition. So they need that support. They need medical support, social workers, group support. It's a wide range of things that are not readily available for them. And there's very few communities, very few services or universities or clinics that actually have full programs to help them transition in a more comfortable way. And that's an area that really needs to be addressed. I think the other thing that's a big change is when adolescents decide that they want to transgender. Now, adolescents, I mean, seriously, I have 3 grown sons. I use the term loosely. I know what it's like to raise adolescents. And even if they're not transitioning, they seem to be transitioning in a whole bunch of other ways that drove me crazy, ways I didn't understand. And it's a whole change for parents. There's a loss, there's a grieving process. But the best thing they can ever do is to love that child where they are in their transition. And sometimes, even if they're not becoming transgender, those kids are hard to love sometimes. I mean, I'll just say it. You know, sometimes children aren't, what they cracked up to be before you got pregnant, But even an adolescent will have body changes. They'll have fears, insecurity, identity crisis. So being able to support them and to be aware so that as a parent, you can actually have it really open communication where they feel safe talking to you about it. Because 80% of the students today that are transgender have fear of their safety in schools. There's also so much lack of medical support. So I think looking at this, there's so much more we need to know. There's so much more that needs to be done. But if your child is transgender or wants to be. Just love that child. If I had a prescription pad, that's exactly what I would write for you. And I want to say to the transgender community and your families, you deserve the best care. And this is Dr. Sharon Narling. Ask your doctor on the Asheville View.
Julie Stevens with RMS Tech Spa, where we take the stress out of tech. And I'm going to help a little bit today by sharing 2 Google tips that will help you if you have a Gmail account. So one of those, a little known secret that a lot of people don't even realize is there, is Google Photos. If you save all of your photos to Google Photos, first of all, it is free. And you can easily share those pictures with your friends, and you can tag their faces. So if you wanted to find a picture of your friend Sally, you can type in Sally and it will pull up every picture that Sally has in your Google Photos page. The other thing is with Chrome profiles, if you have people in your family and you all use the same device in your home, which many of us do, you can go to Google Chrome, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little picture of your face probably. If you click on that, one of the options in there is to add a new person. When you add that person, let's say it's your husband or child, you can add them, they log in, and it's a whole experience just for them. It saves their bookmarks, saves their passwords just to them, so that you're not logged into, you're not fighting over who's going to be signed into your Google or your Facebook or whatever it may be. So it makes it very easy for everyone in the family. Thanks.
Welcome back to the Asheville View, and today we're here with our special guest, Stephanie Hickling-Beckman with the Different Strokes Theater, and today we're going to be talking about bringing your best self to every situation. Hey, Stephanie.
Hey, Aisha.
How are ya?
I'm great.
Good.
It's good to be here.
I'm glad you're here.
Glad you are here. Definitely. So, my biggest question, because you are all about authenticity, is how can you be your most authentic self?
Just be real. I mean, you meet somebody and you give them your real self and not put on airs and not pretend to be somebody that you're not.
What if you're shy?
If
What
you're
if
shy, then you
scared
take
to
your
be your true
time.
self?
See, that's a great question because I am what people might call an introvert. And most actors are introverts. I don't do well at first meeting people. So I take my time. I hang back a little bit and I check out the situation and I try to find something I can connect with somebody on. And once I find that thing, then I'll engage in a conversation. And then I bring my most real self to that conversation.
Okay.
Wow.
But it's taken a while to develop that. I think about getting ready to come here today. It was really interesting for me. Moving to Asheville, I redefined who I am. So when I lived in Atlanta, I wore heels and dresses and got my hair permed every other week.
Oh, wow.
And it was not authentic to me at all.
Wow.
It was who I thought my parents and my job wanted and needed me to be. And my name was Stephanie. I moved to Asheville and Steph just started to be what everybody called me, but in becoming Steph, I dreaded my hair. And I started wearing what I want to wear. I love ties. And now I no longer worry about what people think I am because I have a tie on. Because I look good in ties.
You do.
And I recognize that. And so I try to project that forward. So when I was getting ready to come here, I really bounced that around for a minute. I had this blouse on at first. And I looked in the mirror and I just thought, I can't do this. I feel so uncomfortable.
I couldn't imagine you walking through the door with a blouse. I'd be like, who is this person?
And exactly, and I would not be able to sit here and feel comfortable. I sit here and feel comfortable because I'm sitting here as me right now. I'm not sitting here as something that I want the Christians to see or my parents to tune in and see or whatever. I'm sitting here as me.
So as an actress and a director, my question is more so like you take on these roles and responsibilities as different people all the time. How do you not pick that up and carry that with you and just remain Stephanie or Steph?
That's a great question, because whenever we tackle different characters as actors, we've got to find something within that character that we like. No matter how horrible that character is, we've got to touch base with something that justifies why they are the way they are, or something you pick up.
Something
Oh, but they like
relatable.
dogs, you know, or they like cats, or they love their mama, or whatever. You find something relatable, and that's the part that you key in onto, and you bring yourself into that character, and it has to be a combination of the two. It can't be just one or the other. So you don't put down yourself to become another character.
So my question is, how about the people who are very nervous to speak in front of others? Let's say, I don't want to call it stage fright, but it could just be me as a teacher, or having my students come up and do presentations in front of people, or just talented people who have so much talent and they know they have that talent, but are
Barbra Streisand.
mortified of speaking in front of people. Are there any tools or just any advice that you give to people like that to kind of get over that and be who they are and show their talent?
The one thing that I tell my actors as I'm directing all the time is be in the moment. And by being in the moment, you're not thinking about what are they thinking about me. Oh my God, am I going to remember what I'm supposed to say next? You're not thinking about any of that. You're thinking about the time that I'm sharing right now with you and answering your question. I'm not thinking about what Aisha is thinking while she's looking over my shoulder. I'm not thinking what Kirby is thinking while he looks at me and smiles. You know, what's that smile about? I'm concentrating on you and giving you that answer. And so if my focus is here, that eliminates some of that background noise that tends to interfere with us.
Is that why whenever you go to a theater, the actors and the actresses, they don't see the audience and the light is just shining on them? Do you think that's a way to help them get over that fear?
I think it helps. I don't think that's the way it is by design, but
Okay.
I think it most definitely helps, because if I'm in a smaller theater where the lights are bigger on the stage, I am so much more comfortable than I am when I'm somewhere like, say, Asheville Community Theater, where the stage is so far back and you can see like the front row and stuff like that. So I do better when I can't see the audience,
see people.
because you don't get distracted.
So Stephanie, like my thing is this. I am so comfortable in front of like 10,000 people. If you put me in front of 10,000 people, I'm right at home. It is the interpersonal conversations that freak me out. I get nervous when I have to do the one-on-ones and I have to go deep with people, mostly because I'm afraid I might offend them or they might not like me, or I might be too much for them. When it's 10,000, it's like enough of, I feel sometimes so big, I need to be spread around.
You need this buffer.
No, I need to be spread around. I'm a lot, girl. Yeah, like I do. When I'm in front of a lot of people, I feel more comfortable. When it's that one-on-one, sometimes I feel like I can be too much for people.
I mean, I feel more comfortable on stage than I do even sitting here right now, because it's just the four of us and these people behind the cameras. So I feel much more comfortable when there's an audience full of people.
Yeah.
But I think as far as the interpersonal relationships, I feel more able to be myself in sitting and talking to people one-on-one or in small groups.
So when you said when you moved, you transitioned. So you used to wear these heels and these dresses and these skirts. Talk a little bit about that for me. What inspired you to do that? And because we know that our audience is transitioning, shifting, changing every day, you know, what tools and tips would you give to people who are needing to make big transitions like that?
I left Atlanta because I think the same reason a lot of people leave places, a bad relationship, and needing to change my life and rediscovered it. And I had visited Asheville like 2 years before. So it was like, I want this big change. I met somebody on the internet who lived in Asheville, and I moved to Asheville to be closer to them, and ended up loving it. I quit my job. I've been knee deep in corporate America for more than half my life. And in leaving Atlanta, I got out of that, which got me out of the heels and the dresses and the suits and the permed hair. Because in corporate America, the white man expects the black woman to look a certain way.
Absolutely.
They don't
Straight
expect
hair.
us to wear
Yep.
dreads.
Straight hair.
And they don't expect us to come in with a tie on.
Pretty
So
crimped hair.
those things did not work well for me. And I grew within the company, and I don't think I would have grown had I not become that person. But in becoming that person as a lesbian, it's really interesting because the women that I was attracted to were not attracted to me because I was walking around with heels on. So it was all really interesting.
Yeah.
So in coming to Asheville, it's like that life didn't work for me. That was not authentic for me. That was not a place where I was comfortable. I was very awkward living that life. So I came here, and I don't think it was intentional, but I got rid of the heels and all of that stuff, and I started wearing slacks, and blazers, and feeling more comfortable than dreading my hair and not
started
have to
doing
worry
what
about
you
doing all
wanted
that.
to do.
Exactly. I started doing what
Started being
felt
you,
real
yeah.
to me. And I think in becoming more authentic for myself, I began to form deeper relationships. Because I think in Atlanta, I really didn't form those at all. I didn't go out. I stayed home most of the time.
And now you're married.
And now I'm married. I have a son.
So all these changes happened.
Yeah.
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 That's
That is
beautiful.
That is beautiful.
shift.
Yeah.
Huge shift.
So in coming to Asheville and making these changes in your life, and finding a partner, starting a family, I guess my final question for you would be like, what challenges have you faced as a business owner, as a black woman, as a lesbian? Because we here in Asheville, we say, oh, we're so diverse and we're all these things. What are some of those challenges you faced?
I started Different Strokes because of the lack of diversity in Asheville. I came here as an actor and wanting to act and not finding the opportunities that I thought should be available to me. Auditioning for a play and actually having a director call me when the stage manager or somebody else usually calls and offers you a part. The director of this particular show called me and said, I would really love to cast you, but I don't have anybody to match you with on stage.
Wow.
Because
What do
this
you
role,
mean?
this
I don't
role,
have anyone to match you
this
with on
role
stage.
is part of a family, and because you are a black woman and I don't have a black man,
Is that
I
how
can't
it
cast
works
you.
now?
So that's not how it should work. But unfortunately, Hollywood and New York is getting better, but Hollywood is the last
Hollywood's-
standing place where racism is okay.
Wow.
I've seen so many more mixed
It's gotten much better. If you look
relationships
at
and
cartoons,
couples
not
and
cartoons,
media,
commercials, it's gotten so much better.
So much
TV
better.
shows.
But 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it
that
was
was not
crap.
happening.
What I've really noticed is an increase in homosexual relationships in TV shows, which
Yes.
is like really interesting to see.
Commercials especially.
And it's embarrassing of me because like I'll put on my Netflix at work and like, we'll play things and there's like these, homosexual relationships, and it's so bad that I get scared for those to play in front of people who are 60 years older than me, who wanted to watch that movie, and I'm like, no, you all can't watch this, and it's like,
They need to watch that. That's what's
do.
going to change the world. That's what the plays that we do reflect our reality. If I have a gay person on stage, it's not always because they're gay, but it's just because they're people and I need people in this
Yeah.
cast. So the
Well,
way
they-
that we change it is to present things like this, and people see this happening and they realize that being gay doesn't mean that you're necessarily different.
and it's not even just gay, it's about the sex scenes, and it's so funny because I'm, 50 years younger than them, 60 years younger than them, and I'm like, y'all are too young to watch this.
But you know what, Kirby, they do it too.
Exactly.
Sometimes the same way they do it in those scenes.
I
So it's
find
like-
with like my older clients, they talk more about sex and think more about sex than we could ever. Because they don't have to
So
worry about
interesting.
work.
That-
They don't have to
It
worry about
is.
like
They
trying
really
to
do.
earn
They have a
money.
lot more time
Like
than
they have time for it.
Yeah.
So with the Asheville View, I think, Stephanie, like what you're doing and what I feel like we're doing, or what I hope we're doing, is changing the perspective here in
Yes.
Asheville too, and saying like, this is real. People of color have a perspective. Transgender people have a perspective. Gay people have a perspective. And guess what? It is not separate from the majority perspective.
Exactly.
The working class poor have a perspective. White people have a perspective. And if there
It's
were
all
green
about that
people,
web.
they'd have a
They would have a
perspective,
perspective too.
So it's about everybody. It's not about taking someone who's older and saying that they don't have a perspective. Everybody deserves a perspective.
Exactly.
It's about the web, though, and we have all these separate movements. We've got the women's rights, we've got the trans rights, we've got the illegal immigrants, immigrants' rights, and things like that. But what we don't realize is that we all cross-section all of these. There are gay women, and then you've got your race issues up here. There are gay women who have race issues. There are gay women who have race issues who are immigrants. And it's like, we're only fighting against the smallest population of people who are dividing us. And in reality, we really all are connected.
Yeah.
We just have to find those connections, and the only way we find those connections are to talk.
And we're awesome together and really stood up for humans' rights.
And be authentic and talk to each other in a real way instead of jumping to conclusions and getting mad because a word was used when that just could have just been out of ignorance. You know, just
I'm
talking
trying
real.
to stop jumping to conclusions because you don't lose calories when you do it. Like, you don't burn calories jumping to conclusions, so I'm trying to stop.
Yeah.
Because it's useless, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So before we go, I just want to say thank you so much for everything you do in our community. One, bringing art, because we all are big fans of art and acting and stories and good stories. Number two, for bringing diversity.
Yes.
Thank you for that. But for number three, being your authentic self and your fabulous self and the work you do in communities and the hope that you give people. Just thank you for being awesome. Thank you for coming to the Asheville View.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. And you're watching the Asheville View, and we'll see you next week.